welcome back to the desk for the EMEA Masters semifinals as the Movistar riders take us to the first match point of the series. Again, Macko, and guys, I feel like it went even worse than the first time. It was, I don't know what's the issue here. Our Italian friends, but it doesn't look good.
You wanna go? I can go.
Okay,
you can go.
How to
you
say it? How to say it?
I have to ask. Let's get away from all the gameplay perspective.
Okay.
Everything. What is your read on what Macko is going through right now? How do you explain this? How do you explain this sudden shift, change in form compared to what we've been used to seeing from them earlier?
There is a bit of a community running joke. We like to laugh alongside the team about something which used to happen with Macko. So Macko used to play on like satellite internet at their gaming house, which meant that whenever there was bad weather, their internet would get a little bit choppy and like things would not play as well in game for them. I'm really hoping there's suddenly going to be a sunny day over at the Macko house for them to work things out, because it does feel like, of jokes aside, Macko, it does feel like they're just not on their A game. They're really not feeling like the same group we saw in groups and quarterfinals.
I mean, that's the thing, and we've been talking about this, and to echo what we've been saying during the first post-match, had they been challenged at all so far in the tournament, and this is displaying in the results and how the game is playing out.
I feel like absolutely. I don't think they were challenged at all. So then they breezed through with the weapons that they kept using, right? But I feel like in this particular series, there were so many fires that they didn't manage to extinguish even from game one. Acidy, not on a carry. He gets counterpicked back-to-back games. Thalia, they haven't managed to actually deal with that champion. The bot lane's getting diffed back-to-back. You've got 3 huge fires on your map and only 1 fireman in the likes of Seaboy, and he doesn't even get one of his top picks with someone like a Sejuani or a Maokai.
I will say, real shout out to FLICKR though. I think despite all of the chaos which is going against Macko, FLICKR on the Alistar has shown why he is so well known on this pick, and it's why they keep picking it for him. I don't think he is necessarily the problem, but there are so many problems, like you're saying. In regards to the whole has Macko been challenged throughout groups and quarterfinals, I think specifically they haven't been contested in the early game. Now, Karmine Corps, when they slaughtered the Wildcats the other day, they looked great at that point. That's not what they did in groups, and that's why Macko ended up doing so well against them. It did feel like Macko had a bit more room for error in the early game, and even against the other teams in that group. You can see here that they're so far behind when it gets to the point in the point of the game where they want to be playing these huge double AD carry with 3 frontline compositions. They don't have the gold to play that.
And that's the thing, like when you've been used to winning off early game leads, knowing how to play from behind, usually it's going to be a bit more tricky. And it feels like they're not drafting for this kind of scenarios, but we're going to touch on this later, because look at the goal graph. They had no window whatsoever in this game, and this is something we've been discussing when we saw the draft, because there's a bit of run it back here compared to game one, and I feel like Movistar riders especially had everything they were wishing and hoping for to get ready in this game. But when you look on the side of Macko here, damage distribution and again what you can do with this comp when you fall behind, to me it seems a bit light.
I just felt like I needed something more spicy to come out of Seaboy. This is why I thought of Lilia. Potentially you can carry. You also add the AP element to the draft. The Javan also works if you can get things done in the early game. Unlock your Tristana from the mid lane, which is what we've said off the get-go out of game one. We're like, hey, that mid lane needs to be shut down. FLICKR is sitting very comfortably on the same champion that he destroyed them with in the likes of Thalia. Mind you, that was a pick they took away from BK Rogue in the quarterfinals, and they've adapted it to their playstyle. This is why we said Movistar riders are so malleable to change and adaptation into what fits their style to beat whatever style they're facing.
And really zeroing in on that mid lane, again, this is 2 first picks Tristanas, which have been very comfortably answered by the Thalia, which also comfortably answers the engage options coming from Macko later into the draft. Fun little thing about FLICKR as well, used to play in the PG Nationals over on a team called Raccoon. Macko then took over the Raccoon organization and they kind of merged at that point. So there is some kind of history here between the 2 teams as well. That was a little while ago. I think that was in 2020. So it's been a while since he's kind of faced up against this kind of org again, but doing it on this pick with the Thalia here, it is so comfortably answering everything. I don't think there's been anything which has really stopped the Talia from running rampant.
I know.
It has been.
Katarina counters Talia.
Okay,
Okay, so we have an emergency substitution. You need to get going like right now, get on a plane. Maybe we can save the series.
I don't know how soon I can get to Italy right now.
No, but realistically, what is the way out here, especially when you consider the carry potential on every side of Movistar Riders lineup? And I want to draw attention on the man in the bot lane here, because guys, Super, what has he been doing this game? That's some emotional trauma that he's setting into Macko's lineup here.
I've really been begging production to see if we could get Super a cape, just because this guy is absolutely... Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's the wrecking ball coming through bot lane. This guy is absolutely nuts. 1.5k average individual gold advantage at 14 minutes is absolutely nuts. This guy is such a problem.
I just wanted to add that his stats look the exact same in the quarterfinals. Yeah. It's not a one-time pop of performance. He keeps consistently doing it. When we came into this EMEA Masters, a lot of people talked about Super. And in groups, I didn't necessarily see the hype. I was like, yeah, he looks good, but he looks all right compared to all the other AD carries. Now that it matters in the best of series, when you need the consistency, not only is he consistent, but he consistently pops off. He is the hyper AD carry his team needs, and he's showing that. On the other hand side, though, you need to solve the issue. I feel like there is one guy that hasn't necessarily been treated fairly, and it's this man right here. He needs to get his carry pants on and be allowed.
I don't.
Carries.
Acid on. He needs a curry. He needs food. You need to feed Acid. It all makes sense.
Well, actually, you need to feed Acid. But also put him on a champion that thank you. Like, one of those, please.
Yeah, but two of them are banned.
It's okay, there's a third one.
And the third one, I feel like Kled is a very specific champion too.
It is, but they have been willing to blind pick it in some situations to just say, you know what, if you're picking anything which can go toe-to-toe with Kled, we'll still be able to run over that anyway. From when we've seen it even in the LEC, when we've seen it, I can't remember who it was. I think it was
Broken Blade.
I think it was Broken. Well, I think it was Finn.
Played it for sure. Finn, that's the Finn.
The thing is, I
special,
remember an interview. I think it was with Finn, and Finn was like, "Well, when you play Kled, you only do one thing, and that's get early kills." There are so many early kills in this series. I'm not saying it's going to be the answer, but it fits the theme of what we're seeing in the early game. There is a chance. Problem is, Macko have shown that they want to be playing more sit back and scale up. Kled doesn't really add into that. I think maybe if you could put some extra focus in towards that top side with a real kill threat there, it's another option which they haven't explored yet. And
on the side of Movistar Riders, I have to appreciate the fact that them being 2-0 in this series, one game away to locking Montpellier next week. For Isma, of course, being French, that means a lot. But I feel like it's going to fuel the French versus Spain rivalry a bit more. And I want to ask you guys, what do you think it means for these players to make it to this stage? We don't often have offline events from EMEA Masters as well. So I feel like being 2-0 up in this series, and comfortably so as well, that sets you for the third game in
There
an easy
has
way,
not
rather.
been a LAN, I think, since 2018. This is a huge deal.
I was in the crowd for that. Wow.
There you go. This is like playing. Okay, for the LEC players and anyone on an A-class broadcast like this, on a first league broadcast, it feels like another weekend, right? You show up to work, you play on stage. For these guys, it's a chance of a lifetime. A lot of them have not even seen or played on a stage. So seeing what the real pressure is like when you have the lights on you, when you have the pressure on you and having to perform is huge. And how romantic as well. Their esports journey with Movistar started in 2017 in Montpellier. Now they could come up and get a title for themselves.
And regardless if this gets closed out or whether it's a reverse sweep, you will be playing in front of the French crowd in Montpellier.
Versus a French team.
Versus a French team. Now, there are very few things that bring that amount of hype. One of the very first esports events I remember was All-Star 2014 with that legendary Parisian crowd as well. That was one of the all-time great moments. I am looking so forward to what happens out there, and it will be an absolute barn burner. And I think particularly if it does play into, I mean, I think Macko has some respect from the French community from the way that they've played before in previous groups, being the underdogs. But France versus Spain, you don't get much better than that in ERLs.
And I'm really happy that you mentioned it, because we came into today saying that Macko actually is the fans' favorite. They were the underdog story. This is also maybe what helped them push this far to the first semifinals and building respect and dominance, I feel, over the past few years, and coming from this underdog status to actually being an actual contender. And for me, them being 0-2 down right now doesn't necessarily mean that they're out. It means that they may want to be more creative into this third game that may be the last for them.
One of the big things about Macko and why they have so much respect from their own scene and how they've won over the hearts of the Italian fans is that mentality. It's the Mamba mentality of like, job's not done, job's not finished. Until you win everything, you're not done. And I think that they really have embodied that. Being 0-2 down is a very tough situation. It's very hard to come back when you've been defeated so comprehensively in the way that they have. You still got one last chance, and for them, that might be enough.
I'm going to say I'm a little bit disappointed they picked blue again because I was expecting a little bit of breath of fresh air, a change. Again, we talked with Yamato. He's like, the first thing you want to change when you want to shift mentality is side. You go over to the other side, you switch plan completely, and then you attack from that side. And I'm kind of worried to see blue side again because I do not want to see B1 Tristana. It's not working. Either ditch it or ban it.
But there's difficulties into doing this, right? Because when you had priorities coming into this matchup, having to shift everything because it doesn't work, what makes them think that they're going to have more options on the other side? I think it's a proof of confidence that they choose to be on blue side here, but I expect more, whether it's from the draft or the gameplay itself, because it was the same approach from game 1 and game 2 in EMEA, and clearly it didn't work.
Yeah, and that's the difficult thing, right? How much do you prep? How much do you trust the prep or throw it out? Now, the problem is you only have this one last chance now. I'm definitely going to agree with you, Trouble, in regards to
there we go.
Things being a difficulty. Now, this might solidify your Tristana first pick, because I think the problem was that the Tilly was very comfortable. I think that adds in a very different equation. I think it still should be the Tristana. I don't know what else. Very few things count Tristana. I think that EMEA Masters, we have seen the Talia kind of research and development coming in and saying, actually, Talia works well into the Tristana. Not many things answer it. This is why banning the Talia out should give you, finally, that comfortable winning mid lane they've been looking for in the first 2 games.
I raise you guys. Super's Zeri, which just got locked in, and he went absolutely bonkers in the quarterfinals. I just want to remind everyone real quickly what happened in the BK Rock series. Isma was bot lane 24/7.
Yeah, we didn't talk about
and
it.
Super got out of lane with sick instantly. Locks in the Sejuani, perfect champion to dive early on.
And again, it feels like Movistar riders, yet again, in the first 2 rotations of the draft, are going to get whatever they want, but we need some improvements on this set of
Both teams
We've been
know
talking
it.
about the Glad. I feel like he got baited into taking it, maybe being hovered on the other side. But, I mean, we've talked about early game agency and ways to get the ball running. Draven could have been an option, but I feel like Saya is the safer bet here.
They have locked in Alistar an awful lot on this pick here. I think you're happy to... I think, again, the Alistar would be pretty good. I wonder if Rel would be very helpful. I think you need to have...
Ooh, finally,
Forget it.
yes!
Forget it. It's not about any of the things. We had the 3 champions on the wall. It was the Gangplank, it was the Rumble. We get ourselves declared into a Renekton. This is such a heavy flip matchup in the top lane now. The first 3 to 4 levels of the game are absolute wildfire between these two, especially if a jungler manages to make their way into a lane.
I just want to remind everyone that Kled holds the highest burn percentage, same as Katarina, around 40%. I think they've nerfed it now. Yeah, Grievous Wounds around 40%. And Renekton, he's a healy boy. He likes to stick on you and then press Q.
Does he have like little roller skates on the bottom of his shoes? Yeah.
And heal up. Never stop.
I'm not a fan of the Renekton into Kled, though.
I'm looking for a Nautilus ban, because you definitely don't want that Zeri slipping away. You need something to engage the backline and allow your Kled to run in towards that Zeri. So I feel like there could be a Movistar Riders Nautilus ban right here, unless you want to pick it, which doesn't make it very strong into the Zarya, because it's very predictable and very easily dodgeable.
I mean, you still have Enchanter's option because of the front line and strength that you can have with the Sejuani and the Renekton coming here in team fights. So Zeri Lulu is something that I would look at as well. But I'm more interested into seeing what Macko can reply and answer with, because yet again, damage distribution and what they can do with this champion if they fall behind. To me, we have the same issues we have previously.
Yeah,
Kled added, of course.
The Kled adds in an extra engaged threat too, which you can it's much more snowbally though. You need to be ahead on that. You can't just scale up safely. I think that's going to be the big difference in terms of mentality from Macko coming into the 3rd game. It's actually, we need that top lane ahead rather than just trying to scale up with something like that on. You added some questions about those enchanters too. I wonder if you want to go for the triple frontline style. You could go to... Okay, suddenly everything's changed. We've got Nari.
Please,
you have to have this one in.
Give me a Lilia,
so
boy.
what the Ahri does here on that top side of the map, this is probably the most early game top side you can have. Once your ultimate's hit, and particularly first Herald, Movistar Riders have so many ways to explode the top side of the map. problem is, Kled also wants to explode the top side. I don't think that the other lanes are going to be able to match, especially the jungle too, are going to be able to match the Ahri Sejuani going forward. Macko, they need to get some extra firepower from that jungle to make sure that this Kled isn't trying to push ahead early with no teammates coming to help.
Please give me Lilia, boy. I'm like sitting here and I'm like, you've got the speed ups, you've got the Rakan, you could get some huge sleeps going down towards Movistar Riders. You've got Renekton and Sejuani, which would be super easy targets as well. The Rel has gone completely unseen through the entire draft as well. It's also all right. At least this time it makes sense, right? You don't have to pick a 4th damage dealer because you already have 3. This time Acid is not stuck on an Ornn. He's actually going with his Kled, which is one of his 3 most played in the tournament, right?
I would go with Nautilus here. I think it's the obvious choice.
Would you lock it in?
Yeah, I would like it.
All right.
I think what it does too is allows you to play Sejuani, Renekton, and Nautilus, which actually allows what we're seeing from the LFL players. We can see a lot more damage coming through on the Ahri. I know we won't see it anyway, but please just let me have some damage on the Ahri. You have so much lockdown. If you're starting to dive in with the Rel and the Kled and you're going into a lot of burst coming from the Zeri and the Ahri, there's a chance you can turn these fights around. I think looking at these drafts, Herald, first Herald of the game and around second Dragon are going to be absolutely nuclear. When these R buttons come online, both these teams are massively ready to slap each other in the face.
Trouble. Give me your diagnosis.
I just want to keep track of Isma right here because he has 3 lanes. He can play through all 3 of them. We saw him in quarterfinals, camping for Supa down the bot lane. This Zeri coming 11 minutes out, 6-0. You can play towards Maki in the top lane and shut down the Kled off the get-go. You can play through Ahri and Chams, shut down the Tristana against Sixten. Has not been having the best series. I think Isma has so many avenues he can play the game. And I think it's going to be down to Macko to track him down to not fall prey.
And we've been saying this since the beginning of the series, actually, but can Macko actually do it this time and come back into the series? Or will we see Movistar Riders face off against the French team in Montpellier next week? Casters, take it away. That was a bit dramatic.
I want a cooking show now. I want to see where that spaghetti goes and how everyone kind of use it. Thank you so much, Lore, Trouble, and of course, Nymera. I'm with Trouble on this one. I am banging my head against the wall. Why are you going back to the paprika? It still tastes like paprika. What is going on, Jamada? And it, arguably, as we were talking about, this is kind of a worse draft than they had in game number 2.
This might technically just be a worse version of their game 2 draft. I will at the very least say, I guess there's more Snowball-esque aspects to it, right? If you can get Kled going in this game, Kled is a champion that, like, can actually cause problems if it's accelerated. So I feel like that's kind of their only condition in this game to me, which might seem like a bit of a slight to true analysis. They've got the double AD carry to fall back on, but I think from what we've been shown so far this series, Movistar are going to outdo them in the first 15 minutes of the game, and with that snowballed lead, even with a couple of missteps, which we've seen from Movistar, it's not going to be enough, really, to fall over and trip over themselves to a point where Macko can come back into this one. Oh, for a second, you started to see it.
Yeah, I was like, I could see the future there for a moment, but now they'll know that's all happening. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to diminish anything. Movistar have been insane this entire series. Honestly, so far the playoffs, they've been monsters. They had a little bit of a slow kind of getting up to in the group stages. That's, you know, kind of honestly kind of part and parcel to how Movistar go. They went 3-3. They had to play sorry, they didn't have to play a tiebreaker because they were 3-3. They were in that group of death with Team Go, Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition. But Click and VZZ now going to walk straight in. Oh my god, that flash. That was a good flash. It was a good flash, but now he doesn't have it.
They're contesting as well. Oh, what's C-Boy going to do here? Is he going to start on the Raptors, try and get level 2, and then wrap back around? There's a ward, so Movistar actually see what's going on.
Oh god, it's 4v4. Let's get ready to rumble. The strike misses, and oh my lord, I've never seen everyone clumped up and not get hit by anything. With C610 now hopping back into lane. But oh man, this is not how you want to start this for Macko. But Movistar, they just got the momentum. They've got the moves. They know how to control this game.
They've got it all, don't they? They've got it all right now. A red buff locked in. C-Boy, C-Boy, C-Boy. He's just about going to escape.
All right, but why? Why go down there? You know what's going to happen. Look, sometimes the pressure gets to you. Sometimes these things happen, but this is already a perfect start to the side of Movistar Riders, and the perfect person to get that first kill is Superstar in that bot side, because he is just absolutely insane with a champion that can just kind of go ham, get some decent damage down, and be aggressive. We've seen him aggressive all this game long.
Yep, exactly. So anticipate that that's going to continue to be the case here. Oh, C-Boy is actually trying to catch them off guard here. Still level 1.
Yeah, no flash on Alvaro, so they were going to try and see if they can maybe burn him down. Stretching strike
wow.
not going to be there just yet. One more!
Wow.
No, they're not going to get it! Supa's now putting in the damage. He almost takes down C-Boy. But that honestly, that kind of sums up the series for Macko. They're trying so hard, and that kill would have been great, but now EMEA can come back down to the bot side. VZZ doesn't have flash, he does have cleanse. Click does have flash to try and maybe do this one here, but level 2 is hit, not going to land the Q there. Alvaro can't really go aggressive after that. They should be able to get everybody out, no questions asked. Oh my lord, it's all coming apart at the seams.
Yeah, a little bit awkward there. Just I think the fact that the dredge line doesn't connect means that Movistar are just not feeling confident enough, despite the setup certainly being possible with VZZ having no flash now. I think we might have a brief window where there may be some calm, but the opening stages of this game have been nothing but, as well, as I say it, EMEA's trying to force 610 out and make his life a little bit awkward. And we'll do just that. This top lane, finally going to see a trade. It's been quite back and forth, and again, this is, at least in my mind, the condition that Macko have to try and play towards, right? Try and get this Kled, like, just try and get this Kled to a point where he becomes a bit of an unkillable demon. Oh.
Flash forward into the kill, maybe gets remounted though, and now Marky has to deal with it! And that is what you needed. He will get himself dismounted once more, but Acidy getting a solo kill is the win condition now.
Flash for flash, Marky is flashless, C-Boy has his flash, the wave is crashing back into Acidy. This has to be capitalized and punished on, but in the same breath, EMEA will no doubt stay on this top side and hover for a potential visit. If C-Boy's even interested, because it seems like he's pathing down towards bottom side Skull, he wants that instead, and with pressure here for VZZ and Click, he's probably going to get it, but again, you really want to try and accelerate that Kled. You have to feel, because again, the way these compositions have played out time and time again, having been in the same breath and the same vein and themes, is that Macko are simply going to lose. Movistar have been the better of the two teams when it comes to finding engages constantly time and time again like this.
Yeah, Supa now putting in work here. The Ignite went down. Supa over the wall, though, feeling confident. He's going to force a flash here out of the Zeri. They've got C-Boy coming in. They don't have the flash available for ZZZ. And that is going to be a nice, aggressive 2v2 on that bot side. And I mean, look, Supa has been insane, and he's feeling so confident in himself as well.
Yeah, exactly. Supa. Carry pants are starting to come online now. I think the title card earlier was Superstar. He's certainly continuing to develop as such, and this game could be a little bit of a magnum opus for the series for himself. We'll see. Macko, I don't know. I think I've made it quite clear on my feelings right now. Try and find something through this Kled pick. If you're going to pick something kind of, you know, out there as far as pro meta is concerned, I think you just have to get the ball rolling on it. And so far, Acidy has done some of the legwork himself. Just needs a little bit of help. Give up on some of the early dragons if you really have to. I don't think it's going to matter too much right now, though. I think mid lane pressure and priority is going to be what kind of unlocks the dragon in the next minute or so. Movistar have numbers, but again, Macko.
Oh, they've swapped positions, and now they're going to look to try and burn down on Alvaro. He's still very tanky. He gets himself a nice little hook out, and the charm is good as well. That's decent damage coming out. They'll trade it back, support for support. So look to try and maybe turn this one back around. C-Boy will have a remount in a second or two, but he tries to get away from this one here. They're not quite underneath the tower. EMEA going in. They finally get the kill down. 2 for 1, and every single time Macko go for something, Movistar step up to them and say, we're just better.
What an awkward way for that exchange to start as well. It just feels so bad for Macko because they feel like they're going to be able to get their man, but Hex Flash comes out. Alvaro is then swapped places, and then at this point, for Skawi, it feels like just a little bit easier to try and find backline access. Nice flash from C-Boy to block the charm, otherwise that skirmish could have gone wayward a lot faster, but at 1 for 1, it always feels like if you've got the CC and the remount attempt from C-Boy to try and knock him underneath the tower, you're just putting yourself in harm's way, and Frescawi has the damage to mop up and get another kill on top of this exchange.
I mean, look, this is just Movistar kind of catapulting themselves towards Montpellier right now. Already kind of finding themselves 1,000 gold lead, getting gold on the key carries like the Zeri as well. And you can see it just kind of across the board, down the middle. Everyone's got a gold lead, even be it small, be it large. And this is where the game starts to get very difficult here for Macko, because you get little moments like this where they're starting to be a bit cheeky. Good knock up here from Click to try and disengage as best he can, but little moments like that, they just turn around and say, cool, we'll use a minion dematerializer and engage on you because we're just stronger.
Exactly. They're feeling themselves right now. Macko need to try and find an avenue. I mean, again, look at the trade damage that comes out. from this Kled right now. Imagine if there's a Rel on top of it. He needs to be a little bit careful, but I'm sure he'll remount relatively safely. Not super.
Oh.
Should be fine. But again, he just feels confident. He knows his lethal ranges. He knows he shouldn't really be in too much trouble. 610, trying to find the trade. But I mean, even post-bomb, I think maybe, okay, he will edge it out. But again, you know, what's it really going to get you if no one, it feels like it's being played off one another.
And now we might see a 3v3 in this bot side. Level 6 just get hit by VZZ. C-Boy trying to see if he can remount here. Alvaro gets knocked back and they get themselves a lightning crash. Supa not really touched in this fight right now. VZZ trying to put in the work as well. But C-Boy's going to be the first one to fall down. Supa picks himself up. Another kill. The 19-year-old sensation from Spain is still putting in work. And a double kill goes over to Supa. Movistar are just pumping gold into him.
4-0. He made his mark on the quarterfinals, and I think he's trying to make it on the semis here for the final game, potentially, at this rate. 610 look for an angle there. He will force out the Ulma from Frescowi, and 610 will send it back in kind, but Supa just takes over that bottom lane skirmish. Really, really overforced from Macko. It feels like they're just desperate, looking for plays when and where they can. Great flash.
Flash! Even throughout the Glacial Prison, just in case, and that is just so much priority now. Bot and mid, they're pushing in waves, they're getting everything going for them. And I mean, look, this is just kind of, they go for something, but it's all onto Alvaro, like Supa's untouched.
Exactly, that's the problem. And he's got the Ulma, it's sending through chain damage as well to everyone. Slowly but surely, and sure, this Ulma does net him the kill onto Alvaro, but again, the initial target selection is just poor from Macko. It's the only one they can go on to. They feel like they have to make the play work. I don't blame them at the end of the day, but now, topside C-Boy again.
I mean, he can't dismount just yet. Finally gets himself over, but loses half his HP because of it. I will change my slight age mismatch. Supa is 22, not 19. My maths just completely went wrong there. You know, it's 2019, it's not 2023, but now we're going to see a 3v3 in this top side. They get the Magnet Storm, 3-man knockup. It's promising, but is it enough? They will take down Marky. One more auto attack is needed. Click has the flash. He still can't take him down.
No.
How does Marky survive that? Finally, they get the remount, and they can maybe look to take him down. A good Q. Marky gets taken away. 2 kills. Macko fighting tooth and nail. They are trying to keep this game, this series, their hopes of this season alive.
I don't want to say it, Ashin, but Macko player on the top side and the play goes well. They need to just throw everything up here. I promise you, they lost the Herald, but at the end of the day, they're picking up a couple more kills, so it evens out the gold just a touch. Let's see what more they can look to actually put down on the map. No Dragon, 10 minutes into the game. Frescowi looking for a solo kill potentially.
Oh, he's looking for a flash. Not quite able to finish off the kill, but that means the 610 again without a summoner. This is where the game is just kind of becoming difficult. Look, this Tristana is exceptionally strong, but the Ahri just has so much more movement. And speaking of movement, this is again Movistar kind of going for full engage here after the Rift Herald, but then after the fact, they kind of realize they don't really have the damage.
Yeah, right. You have to remember, this is 3 champions with a lot of CC. Sure, Marky is on this Renekton and can put out a fair amount of damage, but it's not quite enough, and a lot of the initial burst actually goes into Acidy, who then doesn't even get demounted, and by the time this wombo combo comes in, feels like it's a bit of a done deal for Movistar. They have to disengage. Click can't find the damage, unfortunately, the regeneration, and I think a pot ticking on the side of Marky is enough. Alvaro's left in no man's land and the bear trap on a rope. Finds his crocodile, I suppose, in this instance. A lot of extra damage comes through on that pullback, and now 2-0-1, Ravenous Hydra. He is super strong right now. A lot of damage on the cards for Acidy. It has to be utilized though. And again, Macko, I feel like just forego the bottom side right now. Look at the item difference between Supa and VZZ. Yeah. Cut your losses. Just accept that this is not the side of the map that you can win on. The top side, the mid lane perhaps as well, still opportunities that you can actually look to pounce on.
And yeah, I mean, Acidy is your win condition right now. And honestly, Acidy is great into the Renekton. The Kled in general is just such a good matchup because you have got that natural Grievous Wounds. You don't have to build up into a Bramble Vest super early. So you've got ways of kind of fighting back for him. And the fact that he's going to be able to pick up a couple of turret plates for himself as well is pretty significant. It's keeping Macko within touching distance, but that's all it's doing so far because, again, Supa is just doing so much here with this Zeri. Zeri has been nerfed into the ground, and yet we still see her, and you're the CEO of ADC Hate. Yep. I can only imagine how you're feeling.
I've been to jail, I've come out of jail, Twitch jail that is, and you know, Supa's still, you know, he's just showing us why Zeri is just a really, really fun champ to play against. That aside though, I mean, look, you are right. Acidy has a lot of damage on offer. I think Macko are still going to actually answer this. One thing I will say, just on the state of the game for a second, Movistar still haven't taken this dragon despite the lead that they have put down on the table. This is a genuine tendency that they've shown over the course of their last couple of games, certainly. And they're ahead. They're just not really putting too much focus on that objective. They're going to try and find Super, but I think he's going to be able to make it. If it wasn't that small alcove wall, they would have been the one behind it. They don't quite get the tower, though, so Macko can breathe a sigh of relief that extra 400 and something gold doesn't directly get funneled into Super's back pocket. Now, finally, 13 minutes in, this dragon will be started up. Will it be taken? And will Macko try and contest? That is the big critical question.
Isma heard you and was just like, oh yeah,
this is an objective.
This is a big objective. And the fact that the first one is a Chemdrake when he's the soul might be very tasty. We'll see Seaboy kind of picking it back up here. We'll throw out the ultimate there, but that's only on top of the Rakan. And now Super immediately having to back away from this one. TP comes in here from Acidi, the big win condition, and Alvaro is dead. The dragon's still being taken, and Isma has to disengage. Will he go for the steal? He will not. And that means we might have a little bit of free time for the Renekton in this top side, but Macko giving themselves a little bit of room to breathe. The win condition of the soul is not going to be on the table for Movistar anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely not, right? I mean, Chemtech Dragon, like you said, means it won't be the soul. 5 minutes until the Infernal Dragon spawns up, so this is going to be a late soul if we even go towards that late game. Movistar just caught a little bit of sleep at the wheel there, right? Not really fully on the same page. Super and Alvaro were split off from Isma as Macko kind of just played bodyguard to the river, but even past that, I think it's still safe to say Movistar should be in relatively commanding position here as...
that is a bit of a moment there. Acidi knows he's dead regardless, so he's just trying to get back the remount. Really, really well done there by Super. Pops the Ghost, pops the ult, knows he's got the damage there with the Static Shiv. Really, really well done.
That is a slight problem, to say the least. Super getting a solo kill onto the win condition here of Macko. The hopes of the PG Nats, pretty much. And we'll see if he can at the very least try and bounce back. It's not the worst F in the world. There's not a lot going on right now, but it will open up for Movistar to immediately rotate up towards his top side. Maybe find a pick onto 610. We'll just go wide.
Movistar looking to try and go one step further. Now, in fairness, they did get the quarters in spring. They were knocked out by the Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition. The Unicorns were kind of the slayers of the Superliga in spring. And it's been a little bit since we've kind of had a lot to kind of praise here from the Superliga. Acidi, he's pretty powerful, but he is very squishy still. You can see with that serrated Dirk, he's still building towards kind of having some kind of survivabilities in the fights. He's very, very aware that if he gets caught out, he could just be bursted out.
Yeah, exactly. He's going for this more, 1v1 orientated build. Is a lot of burst if he's able to get on top of a key target that he wants to dump his damage into, but it does open him up to be quite squishy. The remount is where a lot of his tankiness kind of comes into effect, right? A lot of effective health points can be gained back quite quickly. Now, this Herald has been started up by Macko. Movistar in the area. Are they going to go for a late contest? Flip a smite, maybe? Look for the fight afterwards? They're just going to give it away. Okay. Very interesting decision making, but it does mean that Macko will have an opportunity to try and trade back a tower, and you're very much right as well on that point before about how for a little while it wasn't really, the Superliga that were the big dogs here in EMEA Masters. But recently, the last 2-3 tournaments, Team Heretics, Movistar as well, have been some of the best performers, but it feels like other teams that have made it through, or even sometimes these two teams mentioned, they don't quite reach the expectations set on them by their communities. But so far, Movistar, I think, more than living up to that.
And that's the thing as well, for Movistar, Team Heretics won the, EMEA Masters. Back then it was EMEA Masters, and, were able to, obviously we already knew before they won it they would be, pushing themselves up towards the LEC, but they've been able to kind of hold that little bit of a hold in terms of, like, the idea of how good the Superliga is. However, I always have to mention it, when Garmin Corp are in the EMEA Masters, they've won it. That's their worst position they've ever finished is first. So it's always so hard. But I mean, this kind of performance as well, and the way the players are coming in, I do feel like this is kind of, a Spanish roster that is just looking to kind of put its mark on the map. But we still got a bit of game to go. I will say, if you can kill this Zeri, that gold lead's gone. That gold lead dissipates so quickly if that Zeri is either one, not there, or two, straight up dead. So we'll have to wait and see how Super plays around these fights. But for the moment, with that dragon taken so late in the game, it does look like Macko, again, looking to play for those team fights front to back and play a little bit later in this style.
Yeah, exactly. It's just still feels like a bit of a, you know, a worse version of the previous comp. Maybe they can find a pick here. Looks like the answer is going to be no. But again, you know, the damage on offer, the ability, I think, to snowball a team fight in this fashion. I think this composition has perhaps the advantage over the previous iteration. I think once Kled starts to win a team fight, things just get really, really difficult, because even if you then dismount him, unless you can 100% burst him out, then he just remounts again, and the cycle of those cooldowns come back. Let's see what they can look to do, though.
Oh, hook goes wide, so you're not going to have that initial kind of engage. The turret is still taking a fair bit of damage. Right between the sticks goes the Glacial Prison. But that's all they wanted. They just wanted to get that tower, open up that map a little bit more, get that gold lead pushed up to 3k. Will be answered back by 610 because it's Tristana, and that's just what Tristana do. And that means we're coming back to a 2,500 gold lead. No real objective for at least a little bit. Even that Infernal Drake is honestly something that Macko could just forego. Yeah,
after picking out that first dragon, I mean, we're 18 minutes into the game with no third dragon spawning up. I know, just for a brief second you wonder if that's going to develop into a 1v1. It won't for now, but 610 does have teleport advantage, so he can actually stay up there if he so wishes. Herald drop down here. This might be killed off, potentially.
No, they should get the charge. Yeah, they get the charge, half the health. Not ideal. You would love to take a tower with that, but dragon spawn. Nobody running towards it just yet. Even Movistar kind of saying, look, we want to get mid control first. And honestly, with this Zeri being so fed right now, an IE and a static Shiv, and we have seen the Navori and the IE kind of swap between these two builds, but I do feel like when you are this far ahead in this snowball, the IE just gives you that kind of explosive teamfight potential. And Macko respecting it, saying, look, Movistar, we delayed you for a couple extra seconds, but here you go, there's your Drake. And an Infernal is probably one of the best solo Drakes to take, as we hit ourselves a Hex Rift, so very powerful soul.
Yeah, very powerful soul, but we are a very, very long way away from it, just to say the least. Now, on the flip side of Super having that Infinity Edge, the Eclipse has just been picked up for Acidy, so the amount of burst damage available to this Kled is surprisingly terrifying. I know typically you would kind of expect a more bruiser-heavy build, right? Maybe something like Gordrink or Starax of old. But this iteration of Kled, I promise you, if you get caught by a Q and an E, you're probably going to die by the time that full forward attack comes down. So let's see if Acidy can you know, kind of demonstrate to us why this pick and this, you know, combination of items is so powerful. And I also just want to see Macko, again, try and do what they can now that we're at the point with Baron on the map, to put resources into the Kled without overextending and handing over the Baron. That's going to be the next big thing for them to look to achieve, as they try and just kind of stem the bleeding of this pressure that Movistar are putting down onto them.
Yeah, as much as we don't see the Kled that often, the build path is honestly quite standardized. It is Ravenous Hydra into the Eclipse and then into Black Cleaver. It kind of gives you that extra little bit of shred. Then you're into situational. You can sometimes see the Hex Drinker into Mortius. You then kind of see the, or maybe you see the Sorelda's Grudge if you're feeling very confident in yourself. You just need to shred people. That's when you get a little bit there. I have seen the Axiom arc every now and again.
Oh yeah, 2 ults in one fight.
So yeah, I was gonna say I've seen it. So it can be exceptional, but. For the moment, Isma and Alvaro now putting themselves behind Macko, who are sitting here 4-man strong. They have Acidy coming in here. There is a teleport to be used. Alvaro getting knocked up and burnt down very quickly. He has to flash away. You get the Feather Storm out, a double knock-up as well. No. Marky jumps in to try and make this one work. A good crash down to try and get him back, but Acidy is dead. Flash forward, and Super wants to end this one with a double kill. He may look for a triple kill. He's got the lightning crash to try and burn down Click, but 2 kills is easy, and again, they can turn and burn for the big purple worm.
Exactly, the Baron is up on the table. I understand the idea of what Macko are going for, but Acidy's engage doesn't quite get the follow-up that it needed. Or rather, his ult wasn't the follow-up that the engage needed from Macko. And unfortunately, he falls. VZ was picked on very easily by Marky and the rest of the clamping jaws of the Movistar Riders. And now the Baron will be locked in. They will at the very least get a tower in the mid lane to try and trade and compensate for the play lost. But now there are so many standing structures left up for Movistar to extend this gold lead that you have to imagine they are going to capitalize as heavily as they can. Macko need to try and just push out these waves before the Movistar Riders get back onto the map.
And Marky's just playing such an amazing facilitator on this Renekton as well, because he's going in on the backside, causing huge threat, and then coming forward. But that's 4 members, if not 5, coming in for this. But maybe they want to try and make this one work. They're kind of separated right now, if I'm being totally honest. But Movistar Riders looking to see if they can maybe make something work here. They're going to get engaged upon. It's only a knock-up onto Isma, who should be able to Arctic Assault his way out. Here comes Super. They've engaged on top of the cranks right now. Talling Hex Flash in. We're going to be able to land right on top of VZZ. Super wants all those kills, and he wants everything given to him. It's all about the stats, baby. Movistar ready and willing to take a fight, even when Macko were hiding in the brush.
Exactly. Macko were trying to push out the waves, trying to prevent Movistar from finding easy pushes in with this Baron, but they get collapsed on again. The great use of the Hex Gates, and now Asadi
flash
be
away.
forced to flash away.
He's not got the stats right now. In a team fight, sure, where he could maybe, go in with the rel, get the click to go a little bit of disengaging so he doesn't get burned down immediately. But I mean, look at this gold lead just constantly building and getting bigger and bigger. Tier 2s are all going to be munched up as well, so that's going to be Movistar just kind of continuing this tyrant move in this bot side. But I mean, look, for Macko, you got to try something. You got to throw something at the wall and hope it sticks. And I hope to God it isn't going to be this double AD carry. It has to be Asadi.
It has to be. It has to be Asadi.
Oh, Click.
Oh.
Where you going? Don't think he knows where he's going. If he gets caught, he's dead.
Cook.
It's all right, Asadi's with him now, but do they want to try and go for a fight? This is odd right now. C-Boy going to get in with the Magnet Storm. They're going to try and get a knock-up as well. Double charm, but they're knocked back there by an odd ultimate there from that 610. Asadi looking to see if he can maybe get on back of this one here. Doesn't land the bear trap on a rope, and then C-Boy gets burnt down immediately. Alvaro picks himself up as he gets away from this one here with the stopwatch. There's going to be a charm thrown out from Flickr, but doesn't land onto anybody. Marky goes in a little bit aggressively. He still survives. One more auto attack would have killed him off from either of these AD carries, but neither able to get the final blow. And at the end of it all, not really a lot taken here by the side of Macko. They do push back Movistar, but I mean, the Dragon's off for 14 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Bleeding health bars by the end of it from Movistar, but no one actually ends up dropping. C-Boy loses his life. Now this Dragon can get picked up pretty much for free. Movistar, a little bit shaky, and I mean, admittedly, so was the engage from Macko, but still proving that they've got a little bit of legs to work with. They've got the damage. They've just not quite been able to get it to pile up the way they need it to, and unfortunately, Super's just been dishing out twice as much in return.
Look at his items! Like, the man is not only just an item ahead, he's an item and a half ahead. There's going to be the Dragon confirmed here for the side of Movistar. Also, I do believe I called for Scowie for Skowski. Do apologize for that. I just kind of, his name I'm not 100% aware of. I also did just watch Monsters Inc. very recently, so Mike Wazowski is very much, or Wazowski even, is very much in my head. But yeah, look, I mean, you're hoping and praying that Asadi, C-Boy, and honestly even VZZ or 610 can get on top of Supa, and then maybe, just maybe, you have a snowball's chance in hell of getting into this fight. But I mean, Supa's just been so good of his position and yet to die so far this game.
Exactly, that's been the big issue. It's about the access for Macko to actually find Supa, and Supa's positioning generally has been pretty good this game. Very, very hard to punish him, unfortunately. Now they're trying to make a bush play work. It's just so risky though, and realistically, will Movistar really check into a bush like that? The answer just feels like a pretty big no. Let's see, maybe Frescowie makes an error. Hex Flash, they're gonna look.
Yeah, they're gonna get look. They're only gonna get Isma. TP coming in here as well from Marky, but they're able to get some decent damage down here, and Supa not able to try and throw back onto the carries, but there's just not enough in the tank. It looks like Movistar want to end this one right here, right now. They're looking for the ace quadra kill for Scowie, and I mean, look, that's gotta be it. That's gonna be the game. A 3-0, you would almost imagine, coming out here from the Superliga champions, and Movistar, they looked unstoppable.
Yes, they did. Macko, they had the hopes and the dreams of the PG Nats and the minor regions on their shoulders, but Movistar come in and they have dominated them, plain and simple. They're going to book their ticket to Montpellier. 3-0, and they await a French team, Machine.
That they do. The Movistar Riders will be going to Montpellier. The representatives from the Superliga, the #1 seed, book their flights. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you. Little under. What a performance from Movistar today. And I mean, again, you know, I reference this interview from last tournament where they said, you know, best of ones, not our real bread and butter. It's about when we hit these best of fives, and so far they have just been unstoppable. Yeah, yet to drop a game here. 2 3-0s into finals, and now they're gonna wait their turn to see whether it will be Carmine Corp or whether it will be Team Goat on the opposite end of the Montpellier stage. But for the Superliga as a whole, a lot to celebrate when you think about you know, recent performances, and of course the slump they had for many, many tournaments. But it feels like Superliga are back, and I think this is really the establishing split of that, not just because, you know, they had Team Heretics go back-to-back for quite a while, right? The Summer Championship into sort of a decent spring performance, but now establishing another team here that really can show their mark for their region.
Yeah, I mean, look, more things change, the more they stay the same. We've seen now a Spanish org, a Spanish team getting into the finals here of the Summer EMEA Masters, as we did last year in 2022, of course. I mean, look, there's not much else to say. Look, for Macko, it's bittersweet. You have done nothing but make your region proud. I think a lot of people, I think myself included, no one expected the PG Nats to be getting this far. Absolutely nobody. Fantastic, record historic season there for them. And they have been improving so much, and great to see them kind of go for that. But it just was a bridge too far for them today. I think Movistar Riders looked monstrous in this game. But Jamada, that is all the time we have for. We're going to send it back to Laura and her fantastic analysts to break down that series.
I mean, fantastic analysts, fantastic casters. Thank you so much, guys, for talking us through today. And yeah, back to us, I guess, 3-0. I would have expected a bit more fight. Yeah, I mean, another one. We'll see what tomorrow has to offer, but I have a feeling
all the carbs in the world could not save them. They were turned into ragu, and we will have to put this away until next year.
But before we celebrate the winners, as the casters were saying, I think it's fair and honestly, to respect Macko here for the run they had, because that's a team that we keep on consistently see at EMEA Masters, representing their region the best way they can and taking it one step further every time. Amazing run, once again.
We have our jokes, but Macko are a real story of development. Very rarely does a PG Nats team stay together as a roster without that many changes. They did, they showed the value of it, and they've gone further than any other PG Nats team have done before. Seriously impressive.
I mean, honestly, they made history for their org, they made history for the region, they made history for a lot of the players as well, who have only made it all the way through to that semi-final. So there's only one way up, and this is going to be the finals for them next spring, come next year. They should be celebrating their successes.
Yeah.
Come with losses as well, you learn a lot.
And that's what I love so much about EMEA Masters, honestly, is that every year brings a new region to the table. One of the underdogs and one of the a troublemaker, as I like to call them, usually makes it further than this and becomes an actual contestant. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them as an organization come back again next year, like Movistar Riders, because as we said, it was their 6th appearance in EMEA Masters again. They're going to reach finals today, and what a way to do it.
It was very impressive the way the Movistar Riders pulled out this victory as well, because, you know, they've now 3-0'd quarterfinals. They've through at semi-finals. They've done it in fairly similar ways in terms of running over the map very early. I think something that you highlighted a lot, Trouble, is that they could do it through multiple sides of the map as well, which is very important.
And we saw a bit of a new vibe, I want to say, from this game. Wasn't a fan of this player. I think it pretty much sailed the last nail into Macko's coffin. But I want to talk about the approach the Italian team came with this time around and how it collapsed from the very beginning of the game.
I feel like they had a way that they wanted to play the game and they stuck to it. When it came down to pressing the panic button and changing something that was putting acid onto the carries, but that's game 3 already. The bot lane of the bot side of the map has been breaking every single game after game after game. I don't think a blind Kled can solve a lot of your problems. This is what I was expecting from them, possibly a side change. Nothing can go worse, right? You lose this game on blue, you lose the series. You lose this game on red, at least you tried something different. And honestly, I can commend them for getting that blind Kled and swapping a little bit their ways around. But at the end of the day, Movistar are inevitable when it comes to brawling and skirmishing around the map, and they came out on top on that.
I think what really supports that is just individually, those players on your screen right there had an awesome day today. Yeah, the Kled did get a solo kill, had some good moments, and I think that helped show what Acid could do in that top lane. But on the whole, across the entire series, every member of this LVP roster outvalued the PG Nats.
I mean, that's the thing. Outclassed on every side of the map, had the right preparation to do so, but I think we could go forever telling you about the story of this series, but we have the winner with us, so why not ask Isma what he thinks about this amazing series and how they won. Hello Isma, comment ça va?
Hello guys, ça va bien.
Well, super nice to finally interview you. I think it's the first time we get to talk together. How do you reflect on this series? Macko was undefeated before you guys, but it feels like they didn't have any options against Movistar Riders today.
Yes, they weren't defeated, but I mean, to be honest, versus K-Corp, I think they should have lost. I think, I mean, K-Corp disrespect a bit. I mean, I think Macko is a really good team, but I think individually they are not that good. So I think it's why we win. Like they were playing versus kinda low team, like in ERL, except K-Corp. But I think, as I said, K-Corp disrespect a bit them. So I mean, we were super confident. We didn't disrespect them. We prepared it well, and we were super confident, and it showed. So
It really showed. Yeah, the preparation in game and everything was spectacular. Honestly, Trouble, you wanted to say something
Yeah.
and add.
Isma, I know that this meta for junglers is a little bit dog on a leash, right? This is one in the mouth kind of trying to like facilitate your lanes everywhere. But when you have 3 lanes to choose from that they can all carry in their own way, how do you internally choose who gets to carry each time?
I mean, most likely it's bot because just the meta. I think bot lane is stronger. So usually it's bot, but sometimes there is matchup in bot that we can't do much. For example, the first game, I think it was Xayah Alistar. So with the levels, I mean, it's really hard to dive or to do things around, you know. So in this situation, I just went up and 2 kills, you know. But usually it's most likely bot because it's just broken role.
So kind of stepping away from this matchup here in today then, we found an interview that you did with Eclipsios, I believe, where you were talking about before the tournament, you were respectful of the Wildcats, who of course came in from TCL, as a strong, aggressive early team. Now, obviously you didn't mention any other teams before the tournament in that interview at least. Now, you're into the finals and you see the 2 French teams on the other side of the bracket. Do you respect either of them in regards to early aggression?
I mean, I really respect K-Corp, I think, mostly, because Gamers Origin, I think, is the same. They don't do much in early game, they just scale, and I kind of feel they do nothing, and they just scale, you know. K-Corp is a bit different, and they have, I mean, K-Corp is similar as us, I would say, from the game I saw versus Wildcats. Like, they played a lot in early and stuff. So, I mean, I really respect K-Corp. Gamers Origin is good as well, but it's not the same playstyle. Like, Gamers Origin looks way less scary than K-Corp, I think. So that's it.
So what I'm hearing here is that you expect to face off against K-Corp next week in Montpellier. What makes them strong, you think? I know that you can't share too much, but yeah, what is your insight?
No. I mean, I think Caliste is really 1v9. Every game I watch, I mean, I feel Caliste is really 1v9 all the games with Sargamas. I feel like their duo lane is really what makes the difference on their games. Like, I think Caliste and Targamas are like, I mean, it's just like too good, you know, compared to other ADC and I mean other bot lane in general in ERL. So I think that really makes them strong as well. I mean, I think jungle fits well with them as well. I think Seacroft is the perfect jungle that they can have for individually like them, you know. So that's it.
And I think it's going to be interesting, Trouble, especially when you look at Movistar Riders' jungle support synergy and what K-Corp is able to bring to the table as well. You wanted to follow up on something,
yeah, of course, the OG K-Corp was all about Targamas and Seacroft, right? Isma, of course, my question here is, you're going to be going to France, your friends, and it's like, crowd is not going to be cheering for you necessarily because you're playing for the villain in this story. How does that feel for you?
Yes. I mean, I kind of was always the villain, you know. Even in LVP, we like to, I mean, not trash talk, but we like to joke and to BM kind of the enemy team. So I'm kind of used to. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what to expect. I mean, I expect, of course, people cheering for K-Corp and what makes sense. But I mean, I really want to get there, you know. I still don't know, but I mean, for sure, it will be amazing experience. So.
And
that's it.
For you individually, because facing off against the French team, of course, being part of the Superliga is going to be something. But as you, a French player, playing in front of your home crowd and defending your pride and your colors, how does that make you feel? And what do you anticipate the most for this event?
Yes. To be honest, I mean, it will be insane for sure. Like, it's not a question. It will be insane. And I feel like people kind of like me in that way because always, even if I win in LVP, I get a lot of message especially by a FLICKR fan. Like a lot of message that like will play GG, even if I play in Superliga. So I mean, I expect just it to be like insane, you know. For me it will be insane, and that's it.
Well, it's going to be a pleasure having you on stage in Montpellier. Isma, merci beaucoup pour l'interview.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And
De rien.
yeah, best
De rien,
of luck
merci
in
beaucoup.
the preparation for next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks you. See ya.
Thank you, bye. It's the first time I get to interview him. I
That
really,
was
it was
such
super
a
wholesome. Yeah.
heartwarming and
It is.
honest interview. He's like, you know what? I'm used to be the villain of the story, but if I have to, then so be it. I get to win a trophy, you know?
Yeah.
That's going to really help in Montpellier
Right.
because there are some players who are really fueled by just any kind of like emotional engagement with the crowd. We've seen it with, you know, players playing in China and Korea when they come from the other region of those two, particularly when they've competed so close. And they're like, yeah, you know what? We like being the antagonist. We feed off of that. Some players really do that. If ISMA is ready for that, if the team is ready for that, they're going to have so much fuel for the fire.
Hey, going back to the series, he was a part of 50 kills
No, but he's
in only
insane.
3 quick games. Most of the time, his kill participation at 14 reached 100%. So majority of the early game from Movistar Riders is him. So good luck to whichever team faces them.
And that's why I love the fact that he's going to face off against either Syncroft or Lincess, who I really like as junglers, honestly, with the playstyle that they bring. So that's a story for tomorrow, guys. Who's going to be the second team we have joining the finals in Montpellier? We're going to take a look at the bracket here and see where we leave things off tonight. As Macko, we have to say goodbye. Unfortunately, I love their run. I'm really looking forward to seeing them again in the future. But eyes turned forward to the French matchup we have tomorrow. I'm ready for this, guys. It's just going to be a rematch of the LFL. Team GO versus K Corp. What are your first thoughts on this?
First thoughts are Karmine Core had a weak group stage, but whenever they've been, even in earlier stages of the competition, we've seen them in play-ins before, they build stage on stage. The last time they won the title, they were in play-ins and I thought, hey, this team looks pretty weak. And then they got through to groups and I was like, oh, they're still a bit shaky. Then quarters, then semis, and they looked incredible in the finals. I think we're seeing exactly the same thing again. Their quarterfinals were just electric.
I feel like for GO, it's adaptation and preservation. The fact that they managed to reverse sweep an SK Prime that looked so freaking good throughout the entirety of EMEA Masters and Prime League shows a lot. Also, the names they're bringing in, Tukui, Zezu. Like, you have some really insane players there who have played in the big stages, in front of big crowds, and they're ready to take you on.
I think that stage experience and everything on the side of both matchup is actually immense. But before we sign off here, I want us to take a last look at one of the plays that defined today's series. If we can roll it now. I'm curious to see what we have actually.
There were so many plays. That's the thing. They were just, okay.
That was insane.
I mean, yeah. Again, honestly, for me, it shows how Movistar Riders was in sync today and the synergy and how they were just present on the map all the time.
And also, it was breaking probably like the S+ tier meta pick right now. Tristana is first pick in pretty much every region. There aren't that many things which... and it was here too. It was the first pick. But the first pick just didn't matter.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Do we think it's going to be a central pick in tomorrow's drafts? I would say not.
But both of them,
interesting.
both of them are Talia players as well, you know. So it means that actually the Tristana, there is this kind of cultivated counter in that Talia already locked in by both teams.
I'm gonna manifest a Seiken Rise for tomorrow.
Yeah,
all
luck.
hands on deck.
Gonna manifest some damage-ari,
Preemptively building the show for tomorrow. I like this. We have ideas. Guys, thank you so much for being with me today. And we'll see you for the French Derby tomorrow at the same time, 4:45 for the pre-show and 5 p.m. for the start of the game. Have a good evening, everyone, and see you later.
gelişim değil. Ama bu defa onları yerle bir etmek için buradayım.
Venom her şey bitti. Çok geç kaldı bu savaşa. Beni orada The mythical beasts fall. Wildcats roar.
Alles stand in Flammen. Aber jetzt ist die Zeit für Rache.
Napotkałem na swojej drodze wiele trudności, jednak tym razem nic mnie nie powstrzyma. Quiero demostrar al resto que es voluntad brillar.
On vous a manqué. Il est temps de reprendre ce qui nous appartient.